Hey there, welcome to the first episode of Tales from History. In today's episode, we'll be covering the life of Sargon of Akkad, or Sargon the Great, who's regarded by historians today as the first ever emperor in human history. He's said to have ruled from somewhere around 2334 BC for 56 years, according to ancient sources. He is credited to being the successful conqueror of all the Sumerian states and has even been said to have ruled over all the land that the Euphrates River ever touched. He was one of the most influential men in history and the founder of the Akkadian Empire. According to the legend, it is inscribed in the Sumerian king's list that Sargon did not know who his father was and was born to a high priestess. She did not want him, so she put him in a reed basket and cast him along the Euphrates River. While floating along the river, he was found by drawers of water, who picked him up and took him to the owner of the land named Aki. In the legend, Aki was a kind man who saw Sargon as a gift from the gods and adopted him as his own son. He even granted him the role of gardener. It is said that one day when Sargon was calling the lands, the goddess Inanna, or Ishtar, who was the goddess of love and fertility, appeared to him and granted him her favor. It is said that from this day onwards, he had the protection of the gods. When Sargon turned 18, he was described as a stocky, bearded, and charismatic man. He had now earned his place as cupbearer in the high court of King Ur-Zababa from Kish, although it is said that at night King Ur-Zababa was plagued by nightmares of the young Sargon overthrowing him and drowning him in a pool of blood. When he told Sargon about the dream, Sargon told him that he had been having a similar dream when the goddess Inanna aided him in the killing of Zababa, which was probably not the brightest thing to admit to a king. In reply to this dream, King Ur-Zababa did his best attempts to get rid of Sargon without his own hands being covered in blood due to his fear of the gods. First, he hired assassins to get rid of Sargon, but being the highly skilled warrior he was, he evaded them. Sargon grew more and more suspicious about the attempt on his life, until one day he was told by King Ur-Zababa to deliver a message to King Lugal-Zagesi. When he was at the gates of the kingdom, the goddess Inanna appeared to him and warned him to read the letter. Sargon did as instructed, and simply the letter read, "Kill the messenger." From that day on, Sargon prepared his revenge on King Ur-Zababa and his plan to seize the throne. It is unclear what Sargon did next, but according to historical sources, he usurped power from King Ur-Zababa and became king. He then continued to conquer the Hittites and gain more power. And once he gained as much power as he desired, he set his eyes on the next man who was supposed to kill him, King Lugal-Zagesi. He was the great king who had conquered the states of Uru, Lagash, and Umma, and who the goddess Inanna spared him from. It said in the inscriptions that Sargon tore down the walls and conquered Uruk and Lagash, where he finally challenged King Lugal-Zagesi to battle. He defeated him and then strapped a wooden collar around his neck to parade him around the city. When they finally reached the city walls, unlike other Mesopotamian kings, Sargon showed him mercy and let King Lugal-Zagesi survive, and even let him keep his power as governor as long as he obeyed Sargon. He let the people keep their god of King Enlil, but they also had to accept goddess Inanna as their new city goddess. Sargon then continued on his campaign of all the Sumerian states, and at the end of his reign, he ruled from the Silver Mountains all the way to Anash. It is thought that he may have even conquered Anatolia, which is modern-day Turkey. His long life came to an end after 56 years of rule. His son Ramush ascended the throne after him, but he had the great task of squashing all the rebellions after his father died. The next successor was his brother Manishteshu, who also had the same task of squashing all the rebellions, especially in Akkad and Girsu. And then finally, his last successor was his grandson Narim-Sum. Narim-Sum was a like-minded individual to the great Sargon, as he expanded the borders of the Akkadian Empire even further. He was known to all men by the ruler of the four quarters of the earth. However, After Narim soon passed, he was the last great king, as the Akkadian Empire was destroyed by the Guti people. They first started in small raids, until finally attacking the capital. They raided temples and destroyed several academic sources. Not much information is available about this period, except that Sargon became the golden standard for emperors in later years. This includes Cyrus the Great, Alexander, and even Julius Caesar. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I apologize in advance for the audio issues.